Welcome back, PLayBASIC coders. We're still in website development mode. Let's take a look at what's happened in recent times. Have a quick Q&A about what's going on. If you go to pages where you're not logged in on this version, you'll see a login to download certain files. That will be coming to pretty much all of the resource stuff across the website. Let's say at this page here, we go hit the login button here to go across. Use my junk account to log in. All right, let's log in. And we are effectively logged in. Now, these also have limitations about is your account activated? And this is what I actually wanted to talk about. So a new button up the top there, my account, showing us that it knows we're logged in, but it's saying our account activation status is 0. If we go to profile, you can see some basic data about ourselves. My icon, which I haven't set, of course, my activation status, my community level, and I joined on the 14th of January. All the basic stuff that you would expect your account to sort of have. There'll be a feature to update, your email address, to change your password. That's coming down the line. If you're not activated, and I go back to a tool, for example, and I try and download, it'll give us an error message saying they're not activated. When you actually sign up on the boards, like most places, it will verify your email address by sending an activation email, which just will have like a particular string in it. So when you first log in, you'll see this message up front if you're not activated. I was unsure whether to do this or not, actually. They haven't styled this form the same as the other ones, but I will do that. They'll all be the same styling. So in the email, you would enter the key that it sends you, and then that would activate your account, and then from then on, you're good to go. It just means that we have some confirmation that your email address is real. So if we're sending things to addresses that don't exist, we can kind of get in trouble for spamming. Profile-wise, like the menus here are just purely off the top of my head. But you will have to have a section for what products you've got. These aren't implemented yet, there's nothing there. Posts, etc., downloads. So maybe under products you could probably have just a few icons to choose from, and then if you purchase PLayBASIC or PBFX, or you've got both licenses available to you, you can click on one, either the icon or a link or something like that, and go through to get to the latest download page. I want to make that stuff as frictionless as possible. So you log in, you go get your update, and off you go. No dramas whatsoever. It just means that people don't need to hit the boards all the time. And in general, most people are just not aware that's how you get updates. It doesn't worry me. But I'm just saying it, some people just don't read that stuff as it comes in. So we just want really basic account side stuff, and then obviously once you're in and activated, and then we can think about having I think initially we'd probably start with maybe something like the gallery or source code pages to have user posts. Alright, so I think what we need to do is that because there's going to be a lot of situations where we need to have the website and the user interact through a form. So whether it's the activation stuff, or whether it's you updating your email, or entering your old serial data, or even adding things to a source code post here, once you're logged in, there might be a submit code or something like that button. I mean, who knows what we'll call it really. And then that would just be your post will be the same as mine. You give it a title. Some of the stuff here will be set in stone. The username will come from your account, and the date's automatically generated, and the category, I have to make that better, I think. At the moment, I've got to manually type those things, which is sometimes you get the categories wrong and you make typos because you're in a rush. It would be better to have like a, you click on what category you want to attach this code to. If it's a thing about files, like this example here is, then we think, well, it should be attached to other examples that to do with the file system, if people are searching for those things. But if you click on category, maybe you want to pop up a little list, or you can add those certain existing keywords, or add a new keyword if you need to, which should be the last resort generally, adding a new keyword. But for the forms, we're going to need to have a standardized generator for forms. As I mentioned this before, in the older version of the content manager that I wrote 10 years ago, I quite like writing the back end stuff, but the front end styling stuff drives me nuts. To get it to this point, don't even go there. It was me bouncing around, looking at bits and pieces, going, oh, okay, that's better. Finding other examples, but what I would like to do is be able to define a form that has certain text requirements, certain field requirements. In this case here, we've got a text box, which is an email address, a list control, and a text area, which is a larger piece of text, which is going to have returns in it. Whereas these ones here are just a single line of text. But I can formulate that into a form builder. And I've done this before, and it worked actually quite well, but that only tracked... so when you build the form, I can define that we want a username, and that username should be a certain length of characters. It should be a certain characters that are allowed. We want it to strip HTML. We want it, to do all the general vetting of that information before we ever let it get through to posting information on the boards. It's imperative that we do that. So for an email address, we have different constraints. We've got to check the email address is, again, a valid size. If someone's uploading something that's 20K, it's not an email. It's not an email address. It's an exploit. But we need to say, does it fit the basic format of an email address? Is it within a reasonable size? Does it have unusual, unwanted characters in it? Rejected on that basis. Same for the drop-down menu. If we have a predefined number of these selections, and we react to these on the back end. So if I can make a form, just like a little pair of form tags, where we can have like a message here, we have a box, and it builds that for us, but it will also build the other part of the thing which you don't see, which is the verification. If I hit submit, a bit of JavaScript code runs that verifies the form as it stands. So we have to meet these basic criteria. If the username's too short, it should tell us that, hey, it's too short. So we would need the generator to generate the verification code from these just basic blocks of functions that we already have, And that's pretty easy to do. It's just a matter of running through and cutting and pasting the elements together. That's all. So if you have a form that requires an email address, then we have to cut and paste the functions that verify email addresses. And we paste in the verify email function into the verify function, which sounds convoluted, and life goes on. We just insert the code one after the other. So when the page is being verified, it checks the name, it checks the email address, checks the department, checks the message, and if they all seem reasonable, if they all pass the tests that we have up against them, then we submit it to the server. The reason I mention this is that every time we have to have a form, we have to have this verification code which is basically handwritten in these examples here. So these login, actually I'm logged in now, aren't I? So if I just log out for a second, if you go to the Join Now page, same problem. I've had to manually write this page, even though it's got common elements on it, you know. So there's the login page. Here, the browser keeps remembering that password for some reason. Right, yeah. Okay, so we'll log back in my account, and in here we'll probably will have a bunch of those form interactions. So we might as well I might as well bite the bullet and try and standardize that interaction as quickly as possible by pretty much grabbing as much of my old code as I possibly can and making it work within this environment. At the moment, it's all actually working pretty easily. There's some overlap with how PB was written standalone and the CMS was written. Some of those functions are overlapping. I think there are parts of the board that it's documentation. Yeah, got some messages saying that certain files are being included that shouldn't be included. So I've got to update this code a little bit, but it's basically running now anyway. We could have interactions with these pages here, you know, something as simple as a thumbs up, thumbs down. You know, add a vote for something, or maybe remember something, which I quite like the idea of. They would be accessed, those memories, I guess you would put it. If we're going to do that, they would be in here. You know, whether it's my favorites. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Like favorite links or something like that. As I said before, I mean, as things get bigger and bigger, you know, it's like in the forums when you're trying to find something that's not fresh, that's not recent, something that was done years ago. It can be quite challenging to remember the right keywords to search for. Sometimes it would just be nice to have, like, you know, you have a favorite and then go back through your favorites and go, oh, that's it, bam. Anyway, this is where we are at the moment. And style-wise, this is actually wrong too. It's meant to be sitting over here. So your icon, which will be your avatar, will be there, and your basic join date, and then maybe have some controls about. Well, not quite sure what else we need really at the time being. If we think about things like the learning center idea, we'll need more of these options, not just tutorials, but so resources doesn't need to be there. It's just like a shortcut for tutorials and source codes. Because originally these were a sub-menu of that, which I think is kind of a silly idea. Same as a feature page. We probably don't need a feature page anymore. Be accessed from some other place, you know. I was going to put the updates and downloads in here, but then I realised that if we have updates for the old version, the classic version, we'll call it, current PLayBASIC, and then we start calling the new product, whether it's PV2 or PVFX or whatever it's going to be. We'll need those to be in their own little category. So we'll need them to be probably accessed through your account and through either the products page or the downloads here or something like that. Yeah. Actually, if we're going to have different products too, we'll need to associate. Must make sure I add those fields. So for a source code, we have an attribute there that has, whether it's a standard PV, it's a PVFX, or it's been tested in both, or universal, whatever it happens to be. So you could limit what you're looking at based on a particular preference. The same as the idea about having version data associated with each post, which is it's possible, absolutely. just don't know how we do that really. I guess if you had all of the versions and internally the versions were tagged as being like release dates. So you could go, well, I wrote this code in PLayBASIC 1.64M or something like that. I know it works with that. And then someone else is looking for code that works with the L revision, for example, the Learning Edition. That was the other conversation I want to get to as well, is that we might actually do an update of the Learning Edition to a P revision. So that would mean that I think that would give us a situation where people could use PB to DLL with that and have some tinker time, and they can use some of the other examples there too, like some of the other libraries which I'm failing to remember now. Actually, we need that there too. That's another one we need. See, on the forums we have, things like there's OpenGL ones, sort of that, which require the P revision of PLayBASIC. They don't work with the older version. I think some of the external libraries will work with the older version of PB, but there's some probably bugs that probably prohibit that from working very well. I don't know. I can't remember now. But when we go to download, or whether it's my account, for example, if we go to products, or maybe it is downloads, I'm not sure. And we go, well, I want to go to pick the product I want to download extensions for or updates for. You might have an icon of PLayBASIC, an icon of PLayBASIC effects, and if you pick PLayBASIC, it might give us a list of all the available updates. So if you want to downgrade and play with something older and test something, you're more than welcome to. I don't care. I think most of them are still on the server. Don't quote me on that one. They may not all be uploaded. I think most of the main revisions are on the server, so you probably could take your pick around those revisions. I don't really feel like going back through them all the old ones and uploading them again. But maybe someone has a very particular reason for wanting to do that. Who knows? Anyway, but there's things like library extensions that would be handy to have available through here, which they're not really source code available to the public. They're a part of the product. If we could change the way the help files work, you could have additions to the help files, and the IDE would then pick up the addition and just implement it into the main menu for you, which would be an absolute godsend for most people. That would mean that you could write a library for PLayBASIC, give it to other people, and when they imported it in, it would be added to the documentation, and all the same things that are available from the documentation in PB would be available, like keyword searching, for example. Because the way that works, by the way, is there's a pre-computed list of keywords that have links to the help files. So if you just added your stuff to that file, then your keywords are as valid as the ones that I've added, Yeah. All right. So this is a longer conversation than what I was expecting. I'll leave it there. We've got a lot of points in there. Basically, we've got our activation situation, so you'll sign up for an account. It'll send you an email. You can either, I'm not quite sure whether to just have a link that activates the account straight away. If you did that, you would never see this. So the only time you would ever see this section here, or this Activate Me button, would be when you haven't clicked the link, and it would just go, activate me, thanks. You enter your key in there, whatever it's going to be. This page is not actually hooked up to anything, so I can't really do anything with it. Hit submit. If it's the correct one, it'll activate your account, and then you're off to the races. You can download and then eventually add things like, etc. All the good stuff. Yeah, I think that's the main points. We've got the form. We need to have to improve the form generation to make creating the new pages easier for us. And of course, the bigger conversation there towards the end was updating the Learning Edition to be probably the 1.64 revision. I don't know where those source codes are. I know they're on the Athlon system, which I haven't really booted up since the fire. I haven't had space or time to do anything. But now I've actually got, I wouldn't call this my office, this is the lounge room. At the moment, I'm sitting here with my laptop on a white table, my old monitor on another white table, a TV that someone else had, they didn't want, on a coffee table, and that's the sum total of it. Yeah, not much. But it's fun, it's interesting. Anyway, leave it there. Thanks for listening. I know you didn't, but thanks for listening anyway if you did. And I'll see you next time. Bye.